So hi, Kate. Hello. I'm going to mute you, but not just you. I'm going to mute everyone. So settle down onto your backs, and you can lie to start with your legs long or your knees bent, whatever you prefer. And you can have a couple of big exhalations. Two or three big exhalations. And the other thing you could do is just let your head roll a little bit to the right and to the left. And it is quite cold today, so yeah, just make sure you are warm enough. Let the head roll to the right and to the left. And find a comfortable place to settle the center of the back of your head on the floor. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And then if your legs are long, you're going to bend your knees and stand your feet on the floor. And so with your knees bent and your feet standing on the floor, you're then going to fold your right knee in towards your chest and hold around your knee for a breath or two. That's it. So we've got that right knee folded in towards the chest. Yes, absolutely fine to be doing it all under a blanket, Kate, or with socks on. It's a really good idea. And then from there, you're going to lengthen that leg up towards the ceiling, that right leg. Give it a little bit of a shake out and then hold onto your leg somehow. So you could hold around the back of your thigh, that's it. It really depends, you know, around the back of your thigh, around the back of your knee or your calf. So you've lengthened your leg up to the ceiling, you've given it a shake out, you're somehow holding onto your leg in a way that's comfortable. Yes, and exactly, Kate, you can do a little bit of circling your ankle and a little bit of pointing your toes, pointing your heel. And as you point your heel, you can just see how it feels to, you know, stretch a little bit through the back of your leg. Yeah, good. And then let that knee fold back in towards your chest again. Keep the right knee folded in towards your chest and lengthen your left leg out on the floor. So you could for a moment stretch into your left heel, so the left leg's long on the ground, stretch into the left heel and just then let the left leg be really heavy and passive. You might roll it a little bit on the floor. That's nice. And then again, once your left leg feels heavy on the floor, again, you're going to take your right leg up towards the ceiling, lengthen your right leg out, give it a shake out, hold around the back of the leg. And again, it's just really with that right leg, the one you're lengthening out. That's it. Yeah, good. It's just, yeah, holding whatever feels comfortable, giving it a shake, circling your ankle, pointing your heels and your toes. So we get a little bit of a feeling, if possible, of that set of lengthening, opening the back of the knee, lengthening out the back of the leg. Yes, exactly. And Al, you can hold your big toes. So it's, you know, if you've got fairly long hamstrings, you might find you can hold your big toe, but don't strain to do that. If you've got long legs and not such long hamstrings, then it's quite hard. And then from there, you can let your leg lengthen out on the floor. So have both legs long for a moment and see how it feels. Give your legs a little roll, give your knees a little bounce, and see how it feels to lie with both legs long. And let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And then bend both knees, stand both feet on the floor. Good. And then when you're ready, fold your left knee into your chest. And again, give yourself a breath or two, just holding around the top of your left knee. So we've got this nice feeling of the knee sort of snuggling in towards our chest, settling there, the thigh resting in towards our chest. And then when you're ready, of course, you can lengthen your left leg up towards the ceiling. You can shake it. You can hold again, wherever is good for you to hold around the back of that leg, or yeah, might be the ankle, you know, calf, thigh, back of the knee, ankle, holding your big toes, and a little bit of circling your ankle, a little bit of pointing your toes, pointing your heel. So again, on this second side. That's it. Oh, Sarah, keep your right knee bent for the time being. That's it. Yeah. Good. And Kate as well. Good. So from here, when you've done a bit of lengthening out of your left leg, then fold your left knee back in towards your chest. Just relax that left leg and then lengthen your right leg out on the ground. And then you can stretch into your right heel, spread your toes, and then let that right leg be heavy and relaxed. And exactly, then you can go back to lengthening your left leg towards the ceiling once more and see how that feels. And again, you're holding onto the leg however works for you, and you're doing whatever movements feel good. It might be that you don't want to move, that you just want to catch onto your leg and focus on your breathing. Depends how you're feeling this morning. Circling ankles is, you know, is always nice, particularly if you're doing a lot of walking or running. And from there, you can have another breath or two, but from there, you're going to come back to both legs long on the ground. Give the legs a little roll or a little bounce, or even stretch your heels away from you. And let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. Then you're going to bend both knees, stand both feet on the floor. Then come to letting your knees tilt to the right and to the left. That's it. Good. So one of those sort of nice tilting movements, very familiar in our body, seeing how this feels, keeping it easy, particularly if you're feeling it all creaky around the lower back. Good. But if your body, you know, if everything feels okay, you go as far as you like. That's very nice. Lovely. Okay. So once, twice more to each side. And then pause in the center for a moment, and you're going to cross your arms over your chest. And then start to rock now so that the knees and the elbows and the head are all moving first to one side and then to the other. So now that's it, you're rocking. So the elbows, the knees, the head all move. Be first to the right and then to the left. Very nice, lovely. And eventually from this, from rocking side to side, you're going to rock all the way over onto one side and have a couple of breaths there. And then we're going to come onto hands and knees. So all the way onto one side, whichever's most comfortable. You don't have to keep your arms crossed at that point. Just let your arms be easy and relaxed. And from your side onto hands and knees. Now we're going to do some cats. You could momentarily keep your socks on a bit longer. I know at this time of year it's never a tempting prospect to take them off. So come onto hands and knees and settle on hands and knees. And when you're ready to come to some cat movements, so rounding your back, dipping your spine. So seeing how these movements feel today. And when we do these familiar movements, they give us this opportunity to, you know, sense our body. How does our body feel today? And there's also something soothing in their familiarity. So they help us to settle and maybe feel a little bit calmer. What you're also going to do is some tail wagging. So it's quite nice to alternate. So come maybe to a little bit of pausing in the center with your spine in sort of neutral position and seeing how it feels to wag your tail to the right and to the left. So when we do this movement, we're moving one hip towards its shoulder, the shoulder on the same side. So we feel one side of our body shortens and the other side lengthens out. And then maybe go back to a little bit more cat. So in your own time, yeah, a bit of cat, a bit of tail wagging, be led by how your body feels today on this rather cold November morning. And then whenever you want to take the weight off your hands for a moment, you're going to round your back to the ceiling. You're going to rock your hips back over your heels into child pose, just for a couple of breaths. Or yes, Kate, if that's okay. Yeah, a couple of breaths in child pose, or kneeling, or lying on your belly if child is not so good. Good. Just settle, rest your forehead on the floor, rest your elbows on the floor. Just a moment of quiet, of feeling your body, feeling your breathing. And then we're going to be moving through dog pose and a forward bend up into standing. So, and then doing some things in standing. So I thought it would just be good to get moving. So hands and knees, tucking your toes under. As you exhale, rock your hips back over your heels, pick your knees up off the floor, come into dog pose, see how it feels. And we're just doing one dog pose now. We'll be doing a bit more later on. So that's it, letting the head go. You can do dog pose in your socks. You know, do whatever we like, can't we? Yes, that's fine. So good. And from your dog, have another couple of breaths in dog. Okay, Sarah, yeah, rolling up. And then however works for you to come into a forward bend. And a couple of breaths in your forward bend, bending your knees as much as you like. If your lower back is creaky, bend your knees, rest your elbows on your thighs. Let a breath come in your forward bend. And as you exhale, either sink into your heels and roll up, or walk your hands up the front of your thighs. Okay. Gosh, those socks coming off, Kate. Don't have to. So in standing, what I'd like you to do to start with is just this little movement, which is quite helpful for releasing tension around the lower back. So in standing, you're going to bend your knees and just see if you can give your pelvis a bit of a wiggle. Yeah, so it's not a huge movement, but it's just this, if we can bend our knees, can we wiggle the pelvis and feel a little bit of freedom around the pelvis, which can be quite nice to release the lower back. And then see how it feels to settle in standing with your knees straight but not locked. And bring your hands into prayer pose in front of you. So we can use this position of prayer pose just to help us feel a bit more present. So for a moment, close your eyes. Feel the contact of your footprints on the floor. Feel the contact of your palms. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And then open your eyes, let another breath come in. And as you exhale, take your arms down and then up. Drop your shoulders away from your ears and then exhale. And you're going to swing your arms, crossing them in front of your body. Just this, yeah, nice feeling that you're letting the arms really hang from the shoulders. Not pushing anything, but you know, if you've been doing a lot of being stuck in front of your computer, then it's really nice to just do some things to release the arms and the shoulders. Okay, when you run out of movement, come back to prayer pose. Good. Let a breath come in. As you exhale again, take your arms down and then up. And this time, keep your arms up and come to reaching up into one arm and then the other. So this reaching movement where we shift our weight from side to side. And again, just see how this feels. And if you're someone who doesn't like to have your arms up for that long, you can take your arms down for a moment and then you can come back up. So then you take the arms down, give them a little swing, and then bring the arms up again. Do a little bit more reaching. You can also do the one where you catch. So I'm catching my left hand around my right wrist, drawing myself up and over to the left. So the right side of my body feels long. And you can come to the center, swap over again. Do the same thing on the other side. And then that's it. As we come down, we release our arms. Just let yourself go all the way into a forward bend. Or of course, do bend your knees and rest your elbows on your thighs if your lower back needs that support. So all the way forwards, anchored into your heels, letting your head go. Good. Good. So the forward bend is, as well as lengthening us through the back of our body, it is also, I always feel this opportunity to really just let the head quieten. And all that busyness inside of our heads, we can release down into the ground. Let the breath come in as you exhale down into your heels, rolling back up into standing. Otto, are you coming to join in? Yes. Otto's just showing us all how we should be doing dog pose. What we're going to do now is this just loose, easy swinging twist. So again, getting the feeling of the whole of our body in movement. And I need to turn my heating off, so I'm being very indulgent at the moment and putting my heating on whenever I feel cold. So swinging your arms, slapping the hands, if you like, on the sides of your body a few more times. And then let that go. And we're going to focus now in on the movement. And you could, we're going to be doing this movement when we come onto the balls of our feet. But you could start off with the first movement we did, which was bending your knees, dropping your tailbone, giving your pelvis a little wiggle, and then letting the knees straighten but not lock, and shift your weight forwards onto the balls of your toes. So we'll do that a few times. So we'll bring the heels down. If you like, bend the knees, give the pelvis a little wiggle, and then letting the knees straighten but not lock, and bring your weight forwards onto the balls of your toes. So a couple more times with that. Bend the knees, drop the tailbone, a little bit of a wiggle for the pelvis, weight forwards onto the balls of your feet. Now this time, one more time, bring the heels down. Now this time we'll stay on the balls of the feet and we'll bring our arms up and just see how it feels. So again, let the knees straighten but not lock. Bring your weight forwards onto the balls of your feet. Let your arms come up. And just have a few breaths, seeing how it feels, balancing on the balls of your feet. Arms up, shoulders relaxed. Letting the breath come in, letting the breath leave you. You can, if you like, from here, then sort of try that variation with the arms, where you bring your arms to shoulder height and see how that feels. Very nice. And then come down whenever you've had enough. Come down. Give the feet a little shake out. Maybe for a moment, just come onto the top of the toes one at a time. So I'm sort of sliding my foot back behind me and just coming onto the top of my toes and stretching them the other way. And then we're going to do that same balance again, but this time we're going to do this mudra, Hakini mudra. So first of all, we take our arms up, we touch the hands over our head, and then we bring the hands down in front of us. So it's that interesting movement where we're trying to touch our fingers and thumbs without being able to see them. So starting in standing, First of all, coming into the balance, bringing the weight onto the balls of your feet. And then as you exhale, you can let your arms come up in a big circle. Drop your shoulders away from your ears and then bring your fingers and your hands into Hakini Mudra. So the thumbs and the fingers touching their opposite pair, the pads touching. Let the shoulders soften. Let the breath come in, let the breath leave you. And then we bring the hands down in front of our chest, still trying to balance. I quite like in this one to take my elbows out to the side, but you don't have to. Really what's most important is that the shoulders stay relaxed. We try to stay balancing. Good. Lovely. And then, well done everyone, come down, have a little shake out. I'd just like us to do a couple of forward bends with a slightly different focus for each one. So we're going to move into a forward bend now with our awareness in the back of our body, which is probably more familiar anyway, but we're just maybe being a little bit more focused. So as you start to go forwards into your forward bend, be aware of the back of your head, then the back of your neck. Let your awareness travel down the back of your body. Sort of up as you go forwards, isn't it? So your awareness slides down your back to the lower back, the back of the pelvis, and then down the back of your legs. So as you're in the forward bend, this is your sort of outside now, isn't it? The back of yourself, the part that we're lengthening and stretching in the forward bend. From the back of the head all the way down to the back of the heels. And then in your forward bend, let a breath come in as you exhale down into your heels, rolling slowly back up into standing. Just noticing as you come into standing, the back of the body just comes back to neutral. And then we're going to go back into a forward bend, but this time our awareness is going to be in the front of our body and a feeling of sort of softening and emptying in the front of our body. So starting with the face. So as you roll down, start to just focus on the face softening, then your throat, and then the chest falling back a little bit. And the belly and the abdomen emptying. So as you go forwards, your awareness is in the front of your body, and this is the part of yourself that's closing up. So the chest comes closer to the thighs. If you bend your knees more, your chest might even come to touch your thighs. And then let a breath come in and roll back up into standing with your awareness still in the front of your body. And that feeling as we roll back up, that the front of the body opens from that closed position as we come back into neutral. Good. So have a little shake out. We're going to come on to some more balances now. One-legged balances. And we're going to explore. So it's our warrior three. We're going to be building it up. But so step your right foot forward. So come into this position where from feet being side by side, you've stepped your right foot forwards. So we're going to build things up and we're going to focus on going into this in a couple of ways. First of all, we're really going to focus on the movement. Then we're going to focus on our breathing. So yeah, to start with, we're being quite fluid. So the first thing is just rocking your weight forwards and back. And in a moment, we're going to take all of our weight into our front foot. Now, if at any point you need to be by a wall, do move. We're going to take our weight into our front foot. I'll just turn around. And then your other leg, I just want you to see, can you let the other leg, so the left leg is swinging. Yeah, so your right weight is, you've shifted your weight into your right foot, so you can swing your left leg. Now, you can do this by bending your knee, so it's a bit more like you're kicking. But you can also do it keeping your legs straight. So it's a bit more like a pendulum. Good, and the leg is swinging from the hip joint. It's probably a smaller movement. Okay, very nice. Come down and swap sides. So come back to feet being side by side. Step your left foot forwards. And start by a little bit of rocking your weight forwards and back. So this is taking us down into our feet, feeling our feet on the floor. And then eventually all of the weight will come into the left. And can we let the right leg swing a little bit? So your foot is skimming the floor, but your weight is in your left leg. And then yes, you can do the kicking as well as the long leg. Good, come down, have a shake out. So I'll just show you what we're going to do. We're going to come back to the right side. So let me turn around. And from the same rocking, you're going to have your hands in prayer pose. And then you're going to be keeping your leg long and straight and letting your leg tip back and your shoulders go forwards in response. I'd like you to try 3 times on each side. So not really trying to stay there, more about the movement into it. So you've got your right foot forwards. You've got your hands in prayer pose. You're letting your weight come into your right foot. And with that long left leg, letting your left leg tip back and your shoulders and your upper body tip forwards. And you're trying that 3 times. So just, yeah. Of course, if you come into this and you find this lovely, lovely balance, and you just stay there very effortlessly, you don't have to come in and out really quickly. But yeah, if we're taken by surprise, that's probably nice. So a 3rd time, where do we get to? Good, very nice. Have a shake out. And then we'll try the other side. So step your left foot forwards. You can do a little bit of shifting your weight to start with. And hands in prayer pose here. If we've got our thumbs resting on the breastbone, it just helps. The arms are out of the way and it also maybe helps with a bit of steadiness. So weight into your left foot. You've got that long right leg. You're letting your right heel, right leg tip up and back and your shoulders tipping forwards in response. So we're trying to be led by our foot, our right heel, rather than by our brain and our head. So try this 3 times on this side. And again, we're really just thinking about that movement into Warrior 3. But if you capture this lovely movement of balance, then do stay there. Very nice. So if you've done that now, we're going to approach this in a different way in a moment. But I think come into a forward bend first of all, and possibly down into a squat might be nice for your lower back. So if you, you don't have to have something under your heels, but if you wanted something under your heels for a squat. So come down into a forward bend, just sort of let your brain have a little rest. And if it's nice for your lower back to come on into a squat, then definitely do that. Because these warrior poses are quite, when we have this long leg back behind us, it is can be quite challenging for the lower back. So the muscles there can hold on, obviously, to lift the leg. And then we can reverse the movement. We can, from our squat, come back into our forward bend, and from our forward bend, roll back up into standing. We can have a little shake out. So we're going to approach the same, I say the same balance, but in a different way, because we're going to really focus now on our breathing and try to keep this sort of steady, even breath as we move into the balance. So from your feet being side to side, I'll turn around this way, feet side to side, step your right foot forwards. And I'd like you in this time to bend your front knee. And we're going to bring our hands into prayer pose at the breastbone again. And then here, you're going to connect with your breathing when you've got 2 feet on the floor. You're going to gather your awareness into your breath and feel a cycle or 2 of breath moving through you. And then from here, we're going to transfer our weight into our front foot. That knee is going to be bent, and we're also going to bend the back knee. So we come into this exaggerated sort of running position. And have a breath here. Again, feeling the flow of your breath. And then slowly, really keeping your awareness with your breathing, start to lengthen out your back leg. Again, you can let your shoulders tip forwards. But all the time, you're very close to your breathing. You're feeling the flow of your breath. Good. Very, very nice. Lovely. Lovely. Beautiful. Beautiful. Good. Come down. Have a little bit of a shake out. Feet side by side for a moment. And then step your left foot forwards. So in this position again, really settle yourself. So the front knee's bent, the back leg straight. We bring our hands into prayer pose. And at this point here, we gather our attention into our breathing. Maybe feeling the movement of the chest under the thumbs. And then from here, just keeping very close to your breath, shifting your weight into your front foot, both knees are bent. Feel a cycle of breath here. And as you keep that close connection with your breathing, starting to lengthen your back leg out, starting to let your shoulders tip forwards, but all the time trying to just keep close to your breath. Trying to keep the breath sort of slow and even. Yes, lovely. Beautiful. Come up. And when you come out of that, just let everything go now with the sort of loose, easy swinging twist. So it's interesting when we focus on our breathing and slow things down, sometimes it can feel that the balance can feel more effortful. I've been doing this quite a bit this week and I found it sort of changed actually. But I've been able to, with the focusing on my breathing, it's become less effortful. So a couple more times, swinging your arms. Very nice. And then we're going to come to the back of the mat and we're going to make our way down through forward bends. We're going to take our hands into prayer pose. So it can be like the sort of beginning of sun salute. So we'll make our way into a forward bend, dog pose, plank pose, and then down into child. So at the back of the mat, hands in prayer pose, let the breath come in as you exhale, take your arms down and then up. Let the breath come in. Rolling down into your forward bend, let your head hang. And then take your time, spend, if it feels nice in your forward bend, stay there. When you're ready, walking on into dog pose. Sarah, if it's better for you to come down onto hands and knees and then do plank, you could go down through a squat, yeah. So a bit of a lengthen out in dog, see how does dog pose feel now? We're going to be doing a little bit more dog. And then when you want to come on into plank pose, you need to probably walk into a longer dog first, unless your original dog is quite long. So that when you shift your shoulders forwards, they end up over your wrists, that's it. And then we've got this feeling that the abdominals suddenly start to work to stop our pelvis sagging down to the ground. Good. You just stay for a few breaths in plank pose, as long as feels right for you. And from plank, you're going to fold down into child pose or kneeling or lying on your belly if you prefer. Well done. Very nice plank poses, everyone. So just a couple of quiet breaths. Child pose, kneeling, lying on your belly, feeling the ground beneath you. Coming back to really feeling the flow of your breath. But it's very different when we're in this sort of settled position. The breath can maybe of its own accord feel more expansive than when we're trying to balance. Perhaps a bit softer. So just another breath or two wherever you are. And then we're going to come back onto hands and knees and back to our cat movements. And we're going to be thinking about some movements where we're opening out through the front of the body. So coming back to cat, where we're doing both. We're both rounding the back of the body and letting the front of the body open when our spine dips down. A little bit of rounding and dipping in cat. Of course, you can do some tail wagging as well. And of course, you can be on your elbows rather than your hands if that's better for your wrists. So rounding and dipping. A little bit of tail wagging. Now, in a moment, we're going to just quite tentatively see how it feels to move towards our face-up dog. You might want to sit back for a moment over your heels and give your hands a little bit of a shake out. I say tentatively because we're going to do some other things and then come back to it. So if you come into your hands and knees position where your hands are a bit further forwards, and then, yeah, how does it feel? So just exploring that movement of starting to rock your weight forwards. And unlike plank, we're letting the pelvis hang. We don't need to go all the way yet. We can just be exploring how does it feel to bring the weight forwards into the hands. So perhaps a couple more times. And then because we haven't done that much, we haven't had much of a focus yet on opening through the front of the body, we're going to come into lunge and then come back to our face-up dog. So from hands and knees, bring one foot forwards into lunge. And you're walking your back leg away a bit. We want to end up with our front knee over our front heel. And just, yeah, using the exhalation so that we settle down through our front foot, giving the pelvis down to the ground, opening through the front of the back thigh, across the front of the pelvis, through the belly a little bit. Now, when we come to swap sides for lunge, you can move through dog pose if you like. You could go straight into dog, or you could come onto hands and knees and then dog. It's our obviously elbow dog if you like. So whenever you feel like, okay, I've had enough lunge on that side, you can move on into dog pose, however that suits you. And give yourself a couple of breaths in dog, so you actually, you have time to enjoy your dog pose, especially as it's coming in between lunge, which maybe not the most enjoyable, but I think, dog pose and lunge together complement each other very well. Yes, so exactly, you can come inside two of lunge, you might step directly from dog pose inside two of lunge, or you might come from hands and knees. And seeing how that second side of lunge feels. And in lunge, we can really use our exhalation. So some people I know quite like bringing their hands to rest on that bent front leg. I often find that's a bit intense for me. And Sarah, definitely not for you. You definitely want your arms on the ground. But yes, you can do that. I know some people like to take their arms up, but I really don't like that. So we're going to do another dog pose after this second lunge. So whenever you like, whenever you've had enough in lunge, you can move on into dog. Sometimes it's nice to sort of ease back out of lunge, particularly if you have taken your arms up or hands off the floor, just sort of ease out. And then on into dog pose for a few breaths. And maybe now we've moved in and out of a few dog poses, you can, in this dog, really come to, again, sort of coming close to your breath and feeling the flow of your breath in dog. Yes, and do have a little settle down in child pose. It's looking very nice dog poses, lovely. Good, a little settle down in child pose afterwards. Beautiful, yeah, quiet dog pose. Couple of breaths in child pose. So, if we're feeling tired, child pose is a sort of nice nurturing place to be. So let the breath come in, let the breath leave you. Again, child pose is a place where the back of our body is long. Back of the rib cage, not back of the legs. And the front of the body is very sort of gathered up and protected. And then we'll come back to face up dog again. So let's come back first of all to what we were doing, which was just that rocking forward. So the hands on the floor in this long hands and knees position. Just a couple of times, this very simple shifting the weight forwards, letting the pelvis hang. And then we could do a bit of our side bending, our tail wagging into face up dog, which is really nice. So we can wag our tail from side to side back into child pose. And then that same tail wagging movement forwards into face up dog. And that's a really good way to free up the pelvis, to maybe end up a bit further into face up dog, but without feeling strain around the lower back. So see how that feels. And we can also do our cat into face up dog. So particularly if the lower back needs a bit more lengthening, you can tuck your toes under, round your back to the ceiling, rock your hips back over your heels, and then travel forwards into face up dog with that rounded back. Only when your shoulders are over your hands do you untuck your toes and look forwards. Really try to feel the shoulders are away from the ears. Maybe reverse that movement and do it once more. Rounding back. And then traveling forwards again. Breath or two. So from here, maybe a couple of breaths in child pose. And if you want to do one last dog pose, now's your time. Just whatever you feel at this point, whether it's child pose or dog, very nice face up dogs. Very nice dog poses. And when you come out of the dog pose, looks great, everyone. When you come out, yes, lovely, I'll let the head go. When you come out of this dog, you're going to lie down onto your belly. And so settle on your belly with your forehead on the back of your hands. Yes, and exactly, as you settle on your belly, give your pelvis a bit of a wiggle, which has been a bit of a theme for the day, lots of wiggling of the pelvis. So wiggle your pelvis on your belly. And you can also do the one then when you bend, if you like it, where you bend your knees and take the soles of your feet towards the ceiling. That's it, and tilt your feet from side to side. So if your lower back isn't so happy with that, then you can try taking the feet a bit lower down, or you can just take the legs back onto the floor. Go back to wiggling your pelvis. Good. So let the feet tilt to the right and to the left. Very nice. And then let your legs come down to rest on the floor, and see if you can just let your legs be very sort of heavy and relaxed, passive. So you've got your, if you haven't, organise yourself. So you've got your one hand on top of the other and your forehead resting on the back of your hands. Because what I would like you to do now is to just very easily a couple of times, as you exhale, you're going to be sinking into your elbows and your forearms and lifting your head. That's it. So we're just going to start to think about these back bends, good, where we on our belly and we're lifting the head and we're trying to use the muscles in the upper back. So just come in and out of this a few times, sinking down into the elbows and the forearms and lifting the head. Good. Good. So perhaps one last time. Good, and then fold back into child pose for a moment, because I want to do a couple more things on our belly. So just give your lower back a bit of a lengthen out. Come into child pose. Enjoy that feeling of being long through the back of the body. That spine, long through, yeah, not the back of the legs, good. Let the breath come in, let the breath leave you. And then come back to lie on your belly. But this time your hands are going to be in a different position. Your hands are going to be standing on the floor beneath your shoulders. So your elbows are off the floor. So in this sort of pushing position. With your forehead on the floor to start with. That's it. So hands standing on the floor, forehead on the floor. What I want you to do, sorry, you might need to start, actually, no, for your wrists, you probably need to stay there, don't you? So ignore me. What I want you to do is start pressing into one hand and then the other. So as you press into your right hand, you let your head roll towards the right, yeah? And then as you press into your left hand, your head rolls towards the left. So I will demonstrate on my mat if you're not sure. So the head is staying in contact with the floor, but we're rolling side to side on our forehead as we press into one hand and then the other. So this really starts to move us in the upper back. Good. And then what you're going to do from these side movements where we press one hand at a time, you can pause in the center and you can press into both hands. And then as you exhale, let your head come off the floor. So you're moving towards cobra. And that's it. So cobra, the difference between cobra and face up dog is that our pubic bone stays on the floor. So for most of us, the elbows will stay bent. And then come back down, come to a bit more side to side rocking. And you're going to do that 3 times. You don't have to come up particularly far in cobra. Some of you I know quite like it. So come back to your side to side rocking. Sometimes we need to have our hands further down than we think for cobra. Obviously not you with your wrists, Sarah. So a bit more side to side rocking, then in the center, pause, exhale, press into both hands. Let the head come up, let the chest come up, but we keep the pelvis good. Gather the elbows in a little bit if you can, Sheila, that's it, good. We come in, we go back down again, one last time, side to side. So cobra, I find quite a bit harder than face up dog because we're sort of pushing up into it. Good, so a bit more rocking side to side and then one last cobra. Good, and yes, Sarah, for you, I think that sort of sphinx while you're on your forearms. That's it, Sheila, good. And then let shoulders come down away from the ears, lovely. When we breathe in cobra, that's fantastic. We feel really wide across the front of the chest, very nice. Lovely, beautiful, Al, lovely. Shoulders down, very nice, Kate, lovely. When you come out of this third cobra, you're going to, very nice, beautiful, Sally. You're going to roll onto your back. And just sort of see what you want to do when you end up on your back. Roll onto your back. And one thing you might want to do is put your socks on. So yes, folding your knees into your chest is quite a nice thing. It's just, even, yeah, just from doing these sort of movements on our belly, it can just feel so nice to come onto our back. But we may want to fold the knees into the chest. So we're going to be moving a little bit on our back, and then we'll be just sort of breathing and settling down. So I think, yes, if you haven't folded your knees into your chest, once you've arrived on your back, knees into the chest, a bit of rocking will probably feel really good. And when we're there, why not take the legs up to the ceiling, give them a shake out. That always feels, yes, that would always feel good. And then, Donna, especially for you, we can do a bit of happy baby. So it's a sort of halfway. We've got our knees wide, but bent. And we hold on to our ankles or our big toes around the back of our knees. And we're rocking side to side. And as you know in this one, you can keep the legs passive and rock, or you can reach up into one heel and then the other, one foot into the other, and then rock yourself like that. That's it. That's it. So yes, you can reach into the center with your foot. If you reach out to the side with your foot, it will make you rock, but it will also more like to make you rock over. So you could reach into the center with one foot and then the other. I mean, these were just things to play around with. Very nice. Lovely. So perhaps when you've, finished with your happy baby, you could just shake both legs out if you like, and then you're going to come to lie with your knees bent and your feet standing on the floor. And just feel yourself here on your back. Feel the breath come in, feel the breath leave you. Come to letting your head roll to the right and to the left. So I thought we'd do a few of our little twisty things on our backs, because I know they're quite popular with some of you as they are with me. So from rolling your head from side to side, find a comfortable place to settle the back of your head down. And then come to tilting your knees to the right and to the left. And see how it feels to come back to. That looks very nice. Come back to this movement. Yes, lovely. Good. So a couple more times to the right and to the left. And then settle in the center. And if you're comfortable lying with your legs long, you're going to lengthen your legs out, because we're going to do that movement where we take our arms up into prayer pose and we make a triangle with our arms. So if your legs are long, then the lower part of the body is a bit more fixed. So knees bent is fine as well. So take your arms up towards the ceiling, touch your hands in prayer pose. Remember, you all know this one well, the hands stay stuck together, the elbows stay straight. You rock your triangle to the right and to the left, rocking your weight across your upper back. That's it. That's it. Letting your head move with your arms. Good. Don't let your hands slide. Don't let your elbows bend. Very nice. So here we really sort of focus this massaging movement into our upper back, across the back of the shoulders, this place we can so easily get stiff and tight. Lovely. Whenever you've had enough, let the arms come down to rest. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. Feel the length of your body on the ground. And then once more, bend your knees if your legs are long. Stand your feet on the ground. Come back to letting your knees tilt to the right and to the left. And yes, good idea, Sheila. Putting on a warm layer. So knees tilting to the right and to the left. And then if you pause in the center, we can revisit the movement we did towards the beginning of class, where you cross your arms over your chest. And then you rock the elbows. That's it, Sheila. Make sure one arm's complete. That's it. Good. One arm's completely on top. Good. So let your head and your elbows and your knees all rock one way and then the other. So we've got this lovely feeling of rolling across the back of our body, giving ourselves a little bit of a massage. That's very nice. Just soothing ourselves with the rocking movement. And then from here, we'll just settle down for a few minutes of quiet breathing. And I've actually got a poem, that's a short poem by Raya Khan, which you may remember we had this one. It was a very long time ago, probably in the summer. So settling yourselves down onto your back, time for blankets, I think. And yes, whatever you want to have to make yourself warm. And even if it's just for a few minutes, it makes such a difference to take this time to just rest and be quiet and feel at one with our breath and our body. So if it's helpful for you, you could start with 2 or 3 big sighing breaths. So you're breathing in through your nostrils and exhaling with a big sigh. And check how your head is resting on the ground, if it would be helpful to let your head roll from side to side, or even pick up your head in your hands and lengthen out the back of your neck. And then let your shoulders rest back on the ground, and your hands can either be on the ground or resting on the front of your body. Let the weight of your pelvis settle down. And if your legs are long, the long length of your legs, or if your knees are bent, the footprints sinking down into the ground. And here, just feeling the flow of our breathing. We're trying not to do anything to the breath. We're just allowing our breath to be exactly as it is right now. The breath flowing in, the breath flowing out. The body resting, supported by the ground. I'm going to read you this short poem by Raya Khan, and he was an 18th century sort of monk hermit in Japan. And yeah, they're just very much these sort of moments of the natural world. The rain has stopped. The clouds have drifted away, and the weather is clear again. If your heart is pure, then all things in your world are pure. Abandon this fleeting world. Abandon yourself. Then the moon and flowers will guide you along the way. Just have a few more quiet breaths lying where you are. And I particularly was drawn to that one today because of the beautiful crescent moon that hopefully some of you also saw last night. Perfect present in the clear sky. So you can carry on lying under your blankets for as long as you like. Thank you. There's no rush. Thank you.